Chapter 20. Ex Remedium Salus for the cure, salvation, printed on all American currency. By some miracle, I must have made a good enough impression on Brian and Mrs. Scharf to satisfy Carol, even though I barely speak during the remainder of their visit, or maybe because I barely speak. It's mid-afternoon by the time they leave, and although Carol insists I help out with a few more chores, and she makes me stick around for dinner, every minute that I can't run to Alex an agony, 60 seconds of pure driving torture, she promises me that I can go for a walk when I'm done eating before curfew. I inhale my baked beans and frozen fish sticks so fast I almost puke, and practically sit bouncing in my chair until she releases me. She even lets me out of a dishwashing duty, but I'm too angry at her for cooping me up in the first place to feel grateful. I go to 37 Brooks first. I don't really think he'll be there waiting for me, but I'm hoping for it anyway. But the rooms are empty, the garden too. I must be half delirious by that point, because I check behind the trees and bushes as though he might suddenly pop out, like he used to do a few weeks ago when he and Hannah and I would play our epic games of hide and seek. Just thinking about it brings a sharp pain to my chest. Less than a month ago, all of August still stretched before us, long and golden and reassuring, like an endless period of delicious sleep. Well, now I've woken up. I make my way back through the house, seeing all of our stuff scattered in the living room, blankets, a few magazines and books, a box of crackers and some cans of soda, old board games, including a half-completed game of Scrabble, abandoned when Alex began making up words like quaz and yerg. Makes me overwhelmingly sad and reminds me of that single house that survived the Blitz and that cracked and bombed out street. A place where everybody went on stupidly doing everyday things, right up until the moment of disaster. And afterward, everyone said, how could they not have known what was coming? Stupid, stupid, to be so careless with our time, to believe that we had so much of it left. I head into the streets, frantic and desperate now, but unsure of what to do next. He mentioned to me once that he lived on Fourths, a long row of gray slab buildings owned by the university, so I go that way. But all the buildings look identical. There must be dozens of them, hundreds of individual apartments. I'm tempted to tear through each and every one until I find him, but that would be suicide. After a couple of students give me suspicious glances, I'm sure I look like a disaster, red-faced and wild-eyed and close to hysterical. I duck into a side street. To calm myself, I start reciting the elemental prayers. H is for hydrogen, a weight of 1. When fissions split, as brightly lit, as hot as any sun. I'm so distracted walking home that I get lost in the tangle of streets leading away from the UP campus. I end up on a narrow one-way street I've never seen before and have to backtrack to Monument Square. The governor is standing there as always, his empty palm outstretched, looking sad and forlorn in the fading evening light, as though he's a beggar forever condemned to ask for alms. But seeing him gives me an idea. I dig in the bottom of my bag for scrap paper and pen and scrawl out, let me explain, please, midnight at the house, 8:17. Then, after checking to make sure no one is watching me from the few remaining lit windows that overlook the square, I hop up onto the statue's base and stuff the note into the little cavity in the governor's fist. The chance that Alex will think to check there is 1,000,000 to 1, but still there's a chance. That night, as I'm slipping out of my bedroom, I hear rustling behind me. When I turn around, Gracie's sitting up in bed again, blinking at me, her eyes as reflective as any animal's. I touch my finger to my lips. She does the same. An unconscious mimic, and I slip out the door. When I'm on the street, I look up once toward the window. For a second, I see Gracie looking down after me, her face as pale as the moon. But maybe it's just a trick of the shadows skating silently over the side of the house. When I look again, she's gone. The house at 37 Brooks is all dark when I push my way in through the window, and totally silent. He's not here, I think. He didn't come. But a piece of me refuses to believe it. He must have come. I've brought a flashlight with me, and I begin a sweep of the house. My second of the day. refusing for superstitious reasons to call out for him. Somehow I can't stand it. If he doesn't answer, I'll be forced finally to accept that he never received my note, or even worse, did receive it, but has decided not to come. In the living room, I stop short. All of our things, the blankets, the games, and books, are gone. The warped wooden floor lies bare and exposed under the beam of my flashlight. The furniture sits cold and silent, stripped of all our personal touches, the discarded sweatshirts and half-used bottle of sunscreen. It has been a long time since I've been afraid of the house or frightened of walking into its rooms at night, but now a sense of the cavernous, empty spaces around me comes back. Room after room of tumbling down things, rotting things, rodents blinking at you from dark spaces. And a deep chill runs through me. Alex must have been here after all, to clean up our stuff. The message is clear to me as any note. He's done with me. For a moment, I even forget to breathe, and then the coldness comes, a surge of it so strong it hits me in the chest like a physical force, like walking straight into the breakers at the beach. My knees buckle, and I go into a crouch, shivering uncontrollably. He's gone. A strangled sound works its way from my throat and breaks the silence around me all at once. Suddenly, I'm sobbing loudly into the dark and letting the flashlight fall to the ground and blink out. I fantasize that I'll cry so much I'll fill the house and drown, or be carried away on a river of tears to some distant place. Then, I feel a warm hand on the back of my neck, working through a tangle of my hair. Lena. I turn around and Alex is there, bending over me. I can't really make out his expression, but in the limited light, it looks hard to me, hard and immobile, as though it's made out of stone. For a second, I'm worried that I'm only dreaming him, but then he touches me again, and his hand is solid and warm and rough. Lena, he says again, but he doesn't seem to know what else to say. I scramble to my feet, wiping my face on the forearm. You got my note? I'm trying to gulp back tears, but just succeed in hiccuping several times. No, Alex repeats. I wish I was still holding the flashlight so I could see his face more clearly. At the same time, I'm terrified of it and of the distance I might find there. I left you a note at the governor, I said. I wanted you to meet me here. I didn't get it, he says. I think I hear coldness in his voice. I just came to... Stop! I can't let him finish. I can't let him say that he came to pack up and that he doesn't want to see me again. It will kill me. Love, the deadliest of all deadly things. Listen, I say, hiccuping through the words. Listen, about today. It wasn't my idea. Carol said I had to meet him, and I couldn't get a message to you. And then we were standing there, and I was thinking about you in the wilds and how everything is so changed and how there's no time. There's no more time for us. And for a single second, I wished I could go back to how things were before. I'm not really making sense, and I know. The explanation I'd reviewed so many times in my head is getting all screwed up. Words leapfrogging over one another. The excuses seem irrelevant. As I'm speaking, I realize there's only a single thing that really matters. Alex and I are out of time. But I swear I didn't really wish it. I never would have. And if I'd never met you, I could never have. I didn't know what anything meant before you. Not really. Alex pulls me toward him and wraps his arms around me. I bury my face in his chest. I seem to fit so precisely, just exactly as our bodies had been built for each other. Shh, he whispers into my hair. He's squeezing me so tightly it hurts a little bit, but I don't mind. It feels good. Like if I wanted to, I could lift my feet off the ground and stop trying at all, and he'd still be holding me up. I'm not mad at you, Lena. I pull back just a fraction. I know that even in the dark, I probably look horrible. My eyes are swelling up, and my hair is sticking to my face. Thankfully, he sweeps his arms around me. But you... I swallow hard, take deep breaths in and out. You took everything away, all our stuff. He looks around for a second. His whole face is swallowed in his shadow. When he speaks, his voice is over loud, as though he can only say the words by forcing them out. We always knew this would happen. We knew that we didn't have much time. But I don't have to say that we've been pretending. We've been acting as if things would never change. He places a hand on either side of my face, wipes the tears away with his thumbs. Don't cry, okay? No more crying. He kisses the tip of my nose lightly and takes one of my hands. I want to show you something. There's a small break in his voice, and I think of things coming unhinged, falling apart. He leads me to the staircase, far above us. The ceiling is rotted away in patches, so the stairs are outlined in silvery light. The staircase must have been magnificent at some point, sweeping upward majestically before splitting in two, leading to landings on either side. I haven't been upstairs since the first time Alex brought me up there with Hannah, when we made it a point to explore every room in the house. I didn't even think to check the second floor earlier this afternoon. Here, it's even darker than downstairs, if possible, and hotter too, a black and drifting mist. Alex starts shuffling down the hall, past a row of identical wooden doors. This way. Above us, a frantic sound of fluttering. Bats, disturbed by the sound of his voice. I let out a little squeak of fear. Mice? Fine. Flying mice? Ugh, not so fine. That's another reason I've been sticking to the ground floor. During our initial exploration, we came into what must have been the master bedroom, an enormous room with the half-collapsed beams of a 4-poster bed still standing in the middle of it, and looked up into the gloom and saw dozens and dozens of dark, silent shapes massed along the wooden beams, like horrible black buds dangling along a flower stem ready to drop. When we moved, several of them opened their eyes and seemed to wink at me. The floor was streaked with bat shit. It smelled sickly sweet. In here, he says, and though I can't be positive, I think. He stops at the door to the master bedroom. I shiver. I have zero desire to see the inside of the bat room again, but Alex is so empathetic. So I let him open the door and I pass inside in front of him. As soon as we walk into the room, I gasp and stop so suddenly he bumps into me. The room is incredible. It's transformed. Well? There's a note of anxiety in Alex's voice. What do you think? I can't answer him immediately. Alex has shoved the old bed out of the way into one of the corners and swept the floor perfectly clean. The windows, or what windows remain, are flung open, so the air smells like gardenias and night-blooming jasmine, their scents drifting in on the wind from outside. He has arranged our blanket and books in the center of the room and unraveled a sleeping bag there too, surrounding the whole area with dozens and dozens of candles, stuck in funny makeshift canisters like old cups or mugs or discarded Coca-Cola cans, just like they were at his house in the wilds. But the best part is the ceiling, or rather, the lack of ceiling. He must have broken through the rotted wood to the roof, and now an enormous patch of sky is once again stretched above our heads. There are a few stars visible in Portland than on the other side of the border, but it's still beautiful. Even better, the bats, disturbed from their roost, have gone. Far above us, outside, I see several dark shapes looping back and forth across the moon, but as long as they stay open in the air, they don't bother me. All of a sudden, it hits me. He did this for me. Even after what happened today, he came and did this for me. Gratitude overwhelms me, and another feeling too, bringing with it a twinge of pain. I don't deserve it. I don't deserve him. I turn back to him and can't even speak. His face is lit up with flame, and he seems to be glowing, transforming into fire. He's the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. Alex, I start to say but can't finish. Suddenly, I'm almost frightened of him, terrified of his absolute and utter perfection. He leans forward and kisses me, and when he's pressed so close to me, with the softness of his t-shirt brushing my face and the smell of suntan lotion and grass coming off his skin, he feels less frightening. It's too dangerous to go back to the wilds. His voice is hoarse, as though he's been yelling for a very long time, and a muscle is working furiously in his jaw. So I brought the wilds here. I thought you would like it. I do. I love it. I press my hands against my chest, wishing I could somehow be even closer to him. I hate skin. I hate bones and bodies. I want to curl up inside of him and be carried there forever. Lena, different expressions are passing over his face so quickly I can barely catch them all, and his jaw keeps twitching back and forth. I don't know. I know we don't have much time. Like you said, we hardly have any time at all. No. I buried my face in his chest, wrapped my arms around him and squeezed. Unimaginable, incomprehensible, a life lived without him. The idea breaks me. The fact that he's almost crying breaks me. The fact that he did this for me. The fact that he believes I'm worth it kills me. He is my world, and my world is him, and without him there is no world. I won't do it. I won't go through with it. I can't. I want to be with you. I need to be with you. Alex grasps my face, bends down to look in my eyes. His face is blazing now, full of hope. You don't have to go through with it, he says. His words come tumbling out. He's obviously been thinking about this for a long time and only trying not to say it. Lena, you don't have to do anything. We could run away together to the wilds. Just go and never come back. Only, Lena, we couldn't ever come back. You know that, right? They'd kill us both or lock us up forever. But Lena, we could do it. Kill us both. Of course he's right. A lifetime of running. That's what I've just said I wanted. I take a quick step backward, feeling suddenly dizzy. Wait, I said, just hold on a second. He releases me. The hope dies in his face all at once, and for a moment we just stand there looking at each other. You weren't serious, he says finally. You didn't mean it. No, I didn't mean it. It's just, I did mean it. It's just that you're scared, he says. He walks to the window and stares out at the night, refusing to look at me. His back is terrifying again. So solid and impenetrable, a wall. I'm not scared. I fight a murky feeling. I don't know what I am. I want Alex and I want Alex and I want my old life and I want peace and happiness and I know that I can't live without him all at the same time. It's okay, his voice is dull. You don't have to explain. My mother, I burst out. Alex turns then, looking startled. I am as surprised as he is. I didn't even know I was going to say the words until I said them. I don't want to be like her. Don't you understand? I saw what it did to her. I saw how it killed her, Alex. She left me, left my sister, left it all. All for this thing inside of her. I won't be like her. I've never really spoken about this, and I'm surprised by how difficult it is. Now I have to turn away, feeling sick and ashamed that the tears have started again. Because she wasn't cured, Alex asked softly. For a moment I can't speak, and I just let myself cry, silently now, hoping he can't tell. When I have control of my voice, I say, it's not just that. Then all of a sudden it comes rushing out, the details, things I've never shared with anyone before. She was so different from everyone else. I knew that she was different, that we were different. But it wasn't scary at first. It just felt like our little delicious secret, mine and hers and Rachel's too, like we were in a cocoon. It was amazing. We kept all the curtains drawn so no one could see in. We used to play this game where she would hide in the hallway and we would try to run past her and she would leap out and grab us. Playing goblin, she called it. It always ended in a tickle war. She was always laughing. We were always laughing. Then every so often, when we got too loud, she would clap her hands over our mouth and get all tense for a second, listening. I guess she was listening for the neighbors to make sure none of them were alarmed, but no one ever came. Sometimes she would make us blueberry pancakes for dinner as a treat. She picked the blueberries herself, and she was always singing. She had a beautiful voice, just gorgeous, like honey. My voice cracks, but I can't stop now. The words are tumbling out. She used to dance, too. I told you that. When I was little, I would stand with my feet on top of hers. She would wrap her arms around me, and we would move slowly around the room while she counted out the beat. Tried to teach me about rhythm. I was terrible at it, clumsy, but she always told me I was beautiful. Tears make the floorboards blur beneath my feet. It wasn't all good. Not all the time. Sometimes I would get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and I'd hear her crying. She always tried to muffle it by turning into her pillow, but I knew. It was terrifying when she cried. I'd never seen a grown-up cry before, and the way she did it, the wailing, like some kind of animal. And there were days she didn't get out of bed at all. She called those her black days. Alex moves closer to me. I'm shaking so badly I can hardly stand. My whole body feels like it's trying to expel something, cough something up from deep in my chest. I used to pray that God would cure her of the black days, that he would keep her safe for me. I wanted us to stay together. Sometimes it seemed like the praying worked. It was good most of the time. It was more than good. I can barely bring myself to say these words. I have to force them out in a low whisper. Don't you get that? She left all that. She gave it up for that thing. Love. Amor, deliria, nervosa. Whatever you want to call it. She gave me up. I'm sorry, Lena, Alex whispers behind me. This time he does reach out. He starts drawing long, slow circles on my back. I lean into him, but I'm not done yet. I swipe out the tears furiously, take a big breath. Everyone thinks she killed herself because she couldn't stand to have the procedure again. They were still trying to cure her, you know. It would have been her 4th time. After her 2nd procedure, they refused to put her under. They thought the anesthesia was interfering with the cure, with the way the cure was taking. They cut into her brain, Alex, and she was awake. I feel his hand stiffen temporarily, and I know he's just as angry as I am. Then the circles start up again. But I know that's not really why. I shake my head. My mom was brave. She wasn't afraid of pain. That was the whole problem, really. She wasn't afraid. She didn't want to be cured. She didn't want to stop loving my dad. I remember she told me that once, just before she died. They're trying to take him from me, she said. She was smiling so sadly. They're trying to take him, but they can't. She used to wear one of his pins around her neck on a chain. She kept it hidden most of the time, but that night she had it out and was staring at it. It was a strange, long, silver dagger thing with 2 bright jewels in the hilt like eyes. My dad used to wear it on his sleeve. After he died, she wore it every day, never took it off, even to bathe. I suddenly realize that Alex has removed his hand and taken 2 steps away from me. I turn around and he's staring at me, white-faced and shocked, as though he's just seen a ghost. What? I wonder if it's possible I've offended him in some way. Something about the way he's staring makes fear start beating in my chest, a frantic flutter. Did I say something wrong? He shakes his head, an almost imperceptible motion. The rest of his body stays as straight and tense as a wire stretch between 2 posts. How big was it? The pin, I mean. His voice sounds strangely high-pitched. The point isn't the pin, Alex. The point is, how big was it? Louder now and forceful. I don't know, like the size of a thumb, maybe. I'm completely baffled by Alex's behavior. He has the most pained look on his face, and though he's trying to swallow a whole porcupine, it was originally my grandfather's, made just for him, a reward for performing a special service for the government. Unique. That's what my dad always said anyway. Alex doesn't say anything for a minute. He turns away, and with the moon shining down on him, and his profile so hard and straight, he could be built out of stone. I'm glad he's not staring at me anymore, though. He was starting to freak me out. What are you doing tomorrow? He asks finally, slowly, as though every word is an effort. It seems like a weird thing to ask in the middle of a completely unrelated conversation, and I start to get annoyed. Were you even listening to me? Lena, please. There it is. The strangled, choking note again. Just answer me. Are you working? Not until Saturday. I rub my arms. The wind blowing in has a chilly edge to it. It lifts the hair on my arms, makes goosebumps prick up on my legs. Autumn is coming. Why? You have to meet me. I have something to show you. Alex turns back to me again, and his eyes are so wild and black, his face so unfamiliar looking, I take a step backward. You'll have to do better than that. I tried to laugh, but what comes out is a little gurgling sound. I'm scared, I want to say. You're scaring me. Can you at least give me a hint? Alex takes a deep breath, and for a minute I think he won't answer me, but he does. Lena, he says at last, I think your mother is alive. Ooh.